thanks for bearing with us in these issues. So we've obviously started a little bit later than intended, but we should have time to do our things. If people need to go early or anything like that, I'll fully understand. So I didn't see what people were holding up before. Have people had a go at the piggies? Oh wow, that's a really good fold, Sarah. Well done.
Big one.
Oh my gosh, look at
And
that.
Marion's done the same.
I feel like I've made myself redundant.
No. You've made yourself the master, and you've actually taught us something.
That's really interesting. So how did you find the crease pattern in terms of figuring it out as a puzzle? Like how did you do that is what I want to know. Like
Are you
Well, I
meaning,
put
are
some
you meaning
creases
this
in.
one?
the sumo wrestler,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was trial and error, or you thought it out first, or did you find some other information about how to do them?
No,
Oh,
I folded mine in sort of red folds were one way and white folds were the other way. And then I
yeah,
just kept
yeah.
fiddling with it until it formed a wrestler.
Until it looked right, yeah, because
Yeah,
there's
so
only one.
like that.
Because it's a piece of logic. Yeah, fair enough, Marion. Well done. So I found that really. I find it really an interesting puzzle. Like some origami people are just people who love to do crossword puzzles and just sit and work on something. And if you can start to fold from crease patterns like that, you bypass the need for diagrams altogether. So well done.
Sure.
And well done, Sarah. Okay, so I guess without further ado, do you think are we all in terms of everyone who's coming, Holly? Are we still expecting anyone else?
I think we're going to go ahead with that, and we're going to give Francesca the link to this afterwards.
Okie doke. So I think what we'll do is go through with our guided fold on the pig, and have a look at the sumo wrestler later. So the pig was obviously quite a sorry, I think I'm looking at the wrong book there. I'm just getting my book out here of double the number of steps. So I want to know if did you find it very challenging, the pig?
Yeah.
When you were folding it? Very challenging. You see, yeah, it's quite time consuming in terms of there's lots of small steps, but there's not too many tricky moves. It's more like the swivel folds early on that I found that I thought might trip people up on this one. But yeah, as we go through it, I'll just see if we can shave some time off there. But well done on the quality of the fold. It really looks like exactly like it's supposed to look. So well done. So yeah, without further ado, I'll get into it. I'm a little flustered because of the technological issues. I've been sort of tearing my hair out a little bit, but it seems to be okay now, touch and go. And I also had my second vaccine shot this morning, and I just might be beginning to experience a tiny bit of flu or something like that. I don't know, but I think we'll be fine. I'm all paracetamol up. So I'm going to start with the white side of my paper up to fold this pig. I should say it's a Lithuanian designer, Mindaugas Česnavicius. I don't have a clue whether I'm saying that correctly or not, but it's quite interesting to see that these designs, although it's obviously an Asian art form, there are some amazing designs from all over the world, you know. And yeah, I'm starting with my diagonal folds, as with so many of the models in this course, in both directions like that. So this model and the cat, which we did last week, they're both presented in a book, which is the convention booklet from the 2017, I think, Korean origami convention. And I'll be giving links to that book and other sites where you can get similar things at the end of the course. So anyway, the next step is to book fold in both directions also. Just lining that up. As ever, pinching in the middle and going out to the edges. So I can't see on my screen like everyone who's attending. Do we have Kieran as well in the room?
Yes, we do. We've got Kieran and Lizzie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hello, guys.
Absolutely.
I can't see everyone individually. Yeah. So the next thing to do is called a Blintz fold after the mathematician who figured it out. It's a way of basically making this square into a smaller square with 2 layers. Basically just taking the corners into the center. It's a really useful fold for a lot of color change models because it just gives you a bunch more edges in the middle of the model. But yeah, that's something that we're not really getting into in this course, but I might try and tackle in future courses, color change models. So things that utilize the fact, I mean, the sumo wrestler is a bit of a color change model, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he's got his brightly colored pants and hat on, and the rest of him's really white. And it's one of the things I like about that model. So anyway, there's my Blintz fold. The next thing to do is to turn the paper over and just, I'm going to fold this edge into the corner, but without folding through the top layer.
We've just lost the connection there, Tony. So it's just frozen on your hands. I don't know if everyone else is seeing that, but maybe we just wait until
I can see that's happening on my portal here. Not sure why that would be.
So I don't know if you can turn it off or on, or
possibly that could help. Let me just try and do that.
Okay.
I'm going to take this outside edge into the center, but I'm not going to fold through all of the layers. I'm just going to let the layer which is currently underneath this diamond section, triangular section, just come out like that. And then when I fold that section, I'm going to reach underneath to make the crease. I don't really want to spoil this surface with a crease in that position. So it's just about minimizing the actual impact on the paper in that area. I'll just turn that around and do the same thing on the opposite side. So I'm just basically taking that outside edge and letting the corner come out like that. I get it in position, then reach underneath to do the crease in the center. Just pinch along there. Okay. And yeah, the next move was one that I thought some people might find confusing. I think I included a shot of this partway through. We're going to be taking these 2 corners on it's this corner and this corner, folding this triangle in half so that comes right over. Oh, sorry, I'll do it on the other side. You might be able to see it better. So this comes right over there. This angle, this edge is going to end up aligned with this crease and this edge on the other side. And then we squash that midsection. So if I just do that first on one side and then on the other. So I'm aware my hands are in the way on that one side. So it's like that. You can see this is the motion. And then close that as accurately as possible. So it leaves us with this little boat, as it were.
Brilliant. How are our boats looking? And I just want to check in with everyone if the video is okay now, and we're not getting too much lag. It looks
a little pixelated on the portal version, but as long as people can see,
it looks fine here.
Great. Okay, thanks, Marion. Brilliant. Okay, so we've got our little boats.
We've got the little boat. The next part is probably one of the trickier parts of this pig, and it's not that hard to do. It's just a little hard to understand at first. But what we're going to be doing is taking this bottom layer and just reorienting it so this corner comes up to here. And in order to do that, I'm going to take this crease. We have a crease line here.
We're just going to we're just pausing there, Tony. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
I think there's got a I don't know if I'm the only one that's seeing that lag.
It's okay with me.
Fine. Okay. If it's just me, that's fine. Please carry on.
Okay. I'm basically just going to take this. This line is going to form the spine of this flap, and keeping these layers down, I'm just basically pinching here and using the paper that's underneath to give me the space to basically put this fold in, which is going to be going across this plane here. So you free up some of the paper from underneath to make this edge is now parallel with the one underneath it, but obviously sticking out a little bit further. So it's a small motion, kind of hard to explain, but once you've done it, you can understand it. And if I just pull this back, I mean, it can't do that all the way independently because of the way they're linked up. But hopefully that's not been too confusing. Is everyone down with that section? Okay, so the next part is relatively simple. We're going to take this flap and essentially turn it inside out. So the valley fold on the inside there is going to become the mountain fold at the top edge, and the mountain fold here turns into a valley fold. So we've just taken that and folded it over itself. Doesn't lie very flat, which is why I'm leaving my hand on there, but I'll just take that back and do it again. So we started off like this, and it's just opening this out, reversing both of those folds and closing it back up again. Okay.
Let's see, how's everyone doing with that one, with that stage? Brilliant. And Sarah, is that okay for you? You're just on mute there, but if you want to hold yours up to say you're ready for the next stage. If you had any questions, feel free to unmute if you're not ready.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've lost it.
Not to worry. Which stage are you at? Ah, there we go. There we go. Okay. So I'll just take the last stage back. So we did this little swivel fold essentially and freed up paper here. It looks to me like you've got your edges parallel, which is just as it should be. So it's just this flap that we've created there. It has this mountain fold going up the spine of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn that into a valley, and the valley fold on the back of it is going to become a mountain. So if I do both of those things together, just pinching that valley into a mountain and folding that over, you can see. Yeah, excellent. So as I say, these are the sort of preliminary folds in this model that were the challenging part, I suppose, and then some of the shaping later. But this is the hardest part to understand for a beginner. So well done. So yeah, the next thing is to take this flap and just fold it. Basically, do you know what? I'm just going to turn this around so it's easier to see what I'm doing. Keeping these layers together, I'm just going to fold that out so that this line is now continuous. This is to create a guide crease. So I'm folding that back again. So I've just put a valley fold through all these layers like that. And the next thing is to do an inside reverse fold, but just through this top layer. So this now has quite a number of layers. And what I want to do is just open this up and make sure that I'm putting this reverse fold just through the top layer. I can let this come out and open up if I want to, but I find this is easier to do accurately if I just keep that underneath. So where that valley fold is on the top layer, I'm going to turn that into a mountain. Oops, sorry, I've just lost my flap. There we go. I'm going to turn that into a mountain, push the spine of this through and reverse it, and then close that up. So just pinching those, and now we can see that these two ends look quite similar to each other. If that makes any sense, okay? How are people doing with that one? Excellent.
We've got thumbs up. Yeah, everyone.
Thumbs up all around?
Yeah, everyone's good.
So now is the fun part where I say, okay, all those things we just did on this side, we're going to do on the other side. So it starts with the swivel, just grabbing this along this crease line that we've put in there, just pulling that out, freeing up some of the paper from underneath until the edge is parallel with the edge underneath it, like that. That's not in fact parallel. I'm just going to refold that on my model. There we go. Slightly tricky to do that and talk at the same time. There we go. The next part is to take this flap that we've done and turn it inside out. So I'm grabbing the valley fold from underneath, pinching that up into a mountain, and then folding that mountain fold that was on top over into a valley so that the flap's inside out. And that's the top part. Next is to put the guide crease in on this flap. So just folding this out so that the outside edge is now continuous along there. See, nice sharp guide crease on that. And then I'm going to, oops, fold that back, reach under so it's just through this top layer, and do my reverse fold. So the valley fold that we just put in there as the guide crease, I'm going to pinch that up into a mountain, and the spine of that, the mountain fold, goes inside, reverses, and that flap's just turned inside out again, like that. I'm just feeling around here and just giving all of these a little bit of a bit of pressure along all of these creases. And when people are ready to continue, just let me know.
Okay, we've got thumbs up. And how are you doing, Marion? Or you're just on mute. If you need any assistance, do feel free to unmute. And looks like Lizzie, yeah, great. And Kieran? Great, okay. Marion, how's it going? Marion, can you hear all right? Oh, sorry, you're on mute, but if you're okay to continue, give us the thumbs up. Otherwise, if you need any help, do let us know.
I've gotten completely and utterly lost.
Okay, doke. When were you last not lost? Where? So you were with us when we were up to the
I've got that side.
Yeah. Okay.
What I then did was, when I started on the other side, I actually unfolded the side I'd folded. Don't ask.
Ah, that can be done. Yeah. So then you're trying to do them both at the same time.
Right,
yeah.
So where I am now is I've got one here,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't get the one on the other side.
Rachel, if you
Okay.
could pin Marion's, maybe that would help.
Yeah,
Would
if you
that
could
help,
just
Tony?
show that to me again.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
Excellent. There we go. Well done.
Well done.
So, are you up to speed there? Or you still got a couple of folds to do?
It looked like you were there, Marion, with your 4 sides. Is that right?
Could be.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Marion still had to redo the
The odd fold.
those reverse sections. Yeah.
Right, just give us the thumbs up when you're ready to go.
Right, go for it.
Brill. Okay.
Excellent. Okay. So yeah, where am I at? So next I'm going to I'm just going to fold both of these corners in to give me a little guide crease. I'm not sure if I included that step on the instructions, but I find that it helps because we're about to we're basically just going to squash these. Oops, I'm getting myself confused here. We're going to squash these 2 corners inside the model like that. So it's lifting this. Sorry, because it's not lying flat, it's a little bit dodgy. Lifting this corner and basically just squashing this edge inside like that and closing that back up and doing the same thing on the other side, kind of along the that's the squash part of the fold there, so it just thins up this whole sort of nose section like that. If anyone needs to see that again, let me know. But the finishing part of that stage is to just take both of these flaps that we've made and just fold them down. Oops. Not lining up super well. It's not the neatest fold I've done. There we go. So I realise my hands are in the way quite a lot there. I'm just going to show that to the camera a little bit better. So I just took an outside corner like that, opened this up, folded it inside, and then brought the flap down like that. Are we there?
Sarah, how's that looking?
Yep. No, I'm up to speed. Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay. We got thumbs up. And Marion, is that all okay for you? Yeah. Great.
We'll take the whole thing and turn it over. And we're going to unfold this bottom corner fairly simply. And this corner here of the outside pattern, we're going to fold that up. Should be, across half of the square, as it were. Now this might get a little bit hard to see now because it's white on a white background. I could potentially do that with it if it's easier, temporarily. But yeah, the next thing is to fold up. This whole bottom flap is going to fold up between these 2 points. So where this top triangle comes in, the folder is going to go from that point to that point, right across the width of the model, and just fold that up squarely. There we go. If anything, yeah, that should be good. And yeah, the next thing, moving on, let me know if I'm going too quickly, obviously. I'm going to take this this corner here and fold it down here, so that the fold is going to go you can see there's like a crease going across the middle of the model, and the end of my fold should go from the outside edge where that crease is to this part. So kind of easier maybe to show than to explain. But if I put a finger on there and keep it down and just fold this, so this outside edge is going to lie alongside the crease underneath it. Oops, I've just put a tiny rip in my paper. Let's just ignore that. It happens, apparently. So what I've essentially done is I've taken this corner, folded it into the model. So that edge is parallel, is along this crease here. And the part that's coloured kind of forms up alongside the edge of that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other leg. I realise it might not be the easiest thing to see, so I'll just do it and then show it to you from different angles. There we go. Part of the way I managed to rip that is because I'm trying to do it in such an orientation that you can see it, and I found it a bit clumsy. So that ends up looking something like that. And then it's just taking these two flaps, folding them out, the creases along the edge, which is now coloured. So that's two of our piggy's feet now sticking out from under its body. And yeah. I see a few frowns. Are we how are you doing, Lizzie? Can I just take it back?
Are we on the wrong
He's
side?
done these two here,
Ah, okay.
I think, not those two there.
Okay.
Well,
Because you see the flap there.
you've done it on the opposite side. That's the same. We're going to end up doing it. So, you know, just follow on the next couple of steps because we're going to repeat them all anyway. So I'm just knocking my camera around. Okay. So the last part on this side of the pig, I'm just going to take the very end here and just round it off basically by, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, in fact. Just fiddle with my focus a bit. There we go. If I take the end here and round it off by just putting a fold across that, triangle there, that's where I managed to rip my paper there. So pay no attention to the fact that that's falling into. This should be just a straight line. And I'm going to take the very tips of these triangles and just fold them inside. You could do a guide crease if you want to, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to push those inside like that and just square them off a little bit. I'll just do, I'm aware the focus has gone a bit funny. I'll just do that and then attend to that. So it ends up, oh gosh, that's not very square. Just going to do that one again because it could be a bit better. It's just opening up that triangular flap, taking the corner, oh gosh, there we go, taking the corner inside and then closing it up again. Gets a bit fiddly if you're using small paper, which I basically am. There we go. So yeah, it ends up with these triangles having been squared off, and this is kind of rounded like that. Zoom back out. And if we're ready to continue, I'm going to turn this over and do the last few steps on the other side. We feeling okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm aware that some of these are quite challenging models. I'm really, really pleased and impressed with the fact that people are keeping up. So yeah, this first one, just going to take this down there like that. This other side, just to meet that crease. Oops. I'm not doing a very good job of keeping my layers together there. That's one of the things that will really help this look good in the end. These 2 feet now fold back out. That's 1. And that's 2. The little point is going to fold in as straight as possible, like that. Looks so much nicer without being torn in the middle. And then the 2 little points, I'm just going to fold inside themselves. So opening that up, poking the end inside and closing it again. The further I get that accurately folded in, the squarer it'll be. Technically speaking, that should be a nice 90-degree angle with the edge behind it. That's close enough, a bit closer than the other one, but it doesn't really matter. They look quite good, these little trotters, as long as they're just not points. So I'm just going to get my background back, because we're going to fold this now in half along the middle crease, along through all the layers. Like that. And you can really start to see the piggy start to reveal himself, so to speak. Yeah. So if we're ready to continue.
Yep.
Okay,
Not
looks
quite.
good.
So the next thing, I'm taking the snout here. I'm going to inside reverse fold that all the way in. If you think of this triangle as being essentially in 2 halves, I could do a guide crease here more to show you where the fold's going to be than out of strict necessity. But if I just fold that through all the layers, that's what it's going to look like, only it's going to be inside itself, the flap. So it's taking the whole of that corner inside itself in quite a square way, and just oh, sorry, I just need to go back and make that crease. Doing the guide crease kind of messed me up there. It's squaring that off like that. Because it doesn't sit very flat with all these layers, I'm just leaving my fingers in the shot there. But if people are ready to continue, all good. We're just taking the nose of that, the tip of that, and just doing the same thing, but just leaving some of it in. So the fold, if I just focus in on that a little bit more, the fold on the inside is going to be about here. If I'm just sort of opening that up, keeping the bottom part of it in, just turning that back on itself, and trying to make sure that the bottom edge is kind of continuous. Sorry, I'm just going to have to redo that myself because I seem to have got in a pickle with my layers. There we go. So I'm just redoing that fold, playing with my focus. Okay. I take that point back, and fold it out. There we go. So that this edge is pretty much continuous. I have done better versions, but there we go. And that's going to be the snout of our piggy. The next thing is to take, I'm actually just going to turn this over because I find it easier to manipulate with on that side. I'm going to take, opening it up slightly, just the very bottom layer. I'll just tease that out, grab it, just open that up and bring it down here. You see, that was just a single layer of paper, a single thickness from the inside of that fold. And now we've got a little, looks a bit like a bird beak coming out the end of this pig. And the last part to do the snout, just like we did with the feet, it does get fiddly because they're such small little triangles. But I'm just going to take the tips and fold them inside. So just squaring that off there like that with a pinch. And what I found was when I did some very small versions of this model, I didn't even bother to do the lower jaw there because it just didn't, it was just too fiddly, but it didn't take too much away from it. But once we've got our snout squared off like that, you can start to see the character of this animal emerge. I've got to tell you, the reason that I like this model so much is because he looks like such a happy little fella. I just think the face is quite adorable and it's very elegant. Everyone's deep in concentration. How are we doing?
They're looking good. Definitely coming along.
Oh, that's lovely.
Oh.
Excellent. Excellent. Beautiful. I mean, if you like pigs, it's pretty. Next up, probably my favorite bit. For some reason, I don't know why exactly. I just think the face of this design is just very, very elegant and well done. We're going to fold this this corner behind. It's a mountain fold, but it's folding the angle in half. So folding this triangle along the angle bisector, but underneath itself. So you can do this if you want by opening the flap out, folding this up to meet the crease, and then closing it back up. It might take a little pressure to close it up that way, or you can just reach behind and fold it behind. I'll do that again. So we're just taking it so that this outside edge is going to go underneath and wind up, sticking straight up perpendicular to the back like that. I will go ahead and turn this over and do the same thing on the other side. So it's this corner. I'm going to fold that edge to meet the crease here and close that back up. Hopefully that makes some sort of sense to you. Just going to stop manipulating that so you can actually see it. If I just hold the camera there, it's a little bit better. And if everyone's there.
No, can you do it again? I've lost it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'll just undo them both. It's fairly quick to do. So we've got our snout, and then we've got these two triangular flaps on either side of the snout. We're essentially folding this one so that the outside edge is aligned with this crease, but it's going behind itself. So instead of just folding this over like that, I'm doing it on the other side. So it's a mountain fold like that. on the other side, I'll do it the way that I originally did that was to open this crease out so that it sits on top of the snout now, and then fold so the outside edge is along this crease, basically folding that triangle in half and then folding that back on itself. So it just folds behind itself, snug. Yeah, are you with us?
Yep.
Okay. And the last part here on the face is just to take this whole ear here and just fold that down across both layers like that, so the ear sticks out on top of the snout there. I just think that's got a very lovely piggy character. I'll do that on the other side as well. And we've got these rather delightful little ear flaps like that. That's when I fell in love with the piggy. I just think it's got a lot of character to the design. So, if we're ready to continue.
Yep.
Cool. I'm going to turn this over because it's, I think in the notes that I gave you, I think that was the orientation that we had. The next part is something, it's a new technique. Well, it's a recognized sort of fold technique. What we're going to do to the back end of this pig is essentially called a double rabbit ear. And I'm just going to take a little digression here just to explain to you what's going on, what this will end up doing. You don't necessarily have to follow along with this, but a rabbit's ear fold, let's see, I'm going to just explain this. If I take this this sheet like this and fold this outside edge to this side and do the same on the other side, and then fold them both together and put a new crease where they meet, it creates this flap. I'll just show you that in a bit of detail. That's essentially a rabbit's ear fold. Now what we do with the tail is we end up doing a double rabbit's ear. So let's see if I can do that again. Let's say I want to put a double rabbit's ear fold in the end of here. I would do the single one. I'm taking this moment out just to show you what this type of fold looks like divorced from the actual model, because rabbit's ears folds come up quite a lot in origami. So I've just made myself a little rabbit's ear fold, but it's through 2 layers. Now if I unfold that, take this and squash fold it, which is what we're about to do, we're going to end up with a rabbit's ear fold that goes through 2 layers at once. I'm sure I'm rushing through the explanation of that, but you'll see we're going to do the same thing in a second on our pig, and it will hopefully make a bit more sense. I then petal fold that as if it's a bird base. And so what we've got there, that's a double rabbit's ear. So rabbit's ear on that side and on this plane and on this plane. And that comes up a lot in animals that have tails, or sometimes there'll be a double rabbit's ear for its arms, or sometimes for necks and things like that. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. I feel like I'm fudging it a little bit. I know I'm not really at my best, but we'll go through it with the pig, and hopefully that'll make enough sense. I'm just going to zoom in slightly there. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is make a guide crease. If I pick this up, I can feel where underneath there's this layer that we folded before. I can feel immediately where this back is much thicker on the inside, and that's where I'm going to put this guide crease. It's from that point inside the model to just where this leg comes out like that. If I fold that and then let it fold back, so I've just placed a crease like that. So the reference point is where the foot meets the model there, and the other reference point is the point underneath inside where this comes across, and you can just feel the difference quite easily there. So the next thing I'll do is put another guide crease. I'm going to fold that outside edge to meet the crease that we've just done. I find it easier to do if I orient it like that. And then I'm going to unfold that. So I've shown myself where this angle folds in half. And the last part is to open this whole flap out, squash fold by opening this out and pushing that down. And along those creases that we've just made, this whole thing turns into this kite-like structure like that. Okay. This is the...
Can we just see how are people getting on with that? Have we got kites on our tails? Great. Okay. Bro. Yeah.
Perfect. Looks really good. This is the full-on way to do a double rabbit's ear fold in the most accurate way possible. There are some others that are a bit more sort of hit and miss and intuitive, but I just wanted to take all of these steps one by one to make it as accurate as possible. So the next thing
Tony,
is,
if you could just bring that into the middle of the frame, that would be awesome.
Sorry,
yeah, perfect. That's the one.
So the next thing, I'm going to take these outside edges and fold them in to lie along the center crease. So it starts to look similar to the kind of things that we've done before with our bird bases. And in a second, we're going to petal fold just like a bird base. I want to try and make this as accurate as possible. If I've done my guide creases correctly, these should be more or less symmetrical. I mean, honestly, it's not, but I'm kind of rushing and talking at the same time. But this should be these should look more or less symmetrical with each other. So once we're there, I'm going to open those back out. And now, just like we've done in the past with our bird base, I'm going to take this layer and using these guide creases as a reference, between those, I'm going to open that up and reverse those folds. So the outside edges go into the middle, like so. And it does look quite similar to a bird base. So if anyone needs me to do that one again, I can do. I see my camera appears to have frozen. Oh no, there we go. Just gonna leave that alone for a minute to catch up with itself.
Would you mind just doing that last little bit again, please?
We're upside down.
Certainly, yeah. That doesn't look bad. So I'll just open that back out. So there's my little kite. I made some guide creases by folding these edges into the middle. Yeah, I'll do that again. So we got to that point.
Yep.
I'm not in the middle of the frame. There we go. If we got to that point, I've opened those out and then lifted this layer only. And I'm putting a valley fold between a valley fold into the top layer, and the fold lies exactly between the ends of those guide creases. Okay. So what happens is this comes up, those outside edges come into the middle, just like when we make a bird base. And then I try and close that up and just pinch along those folds. And if our guide creases are all hunky-dory, it should come together more or less into this like thing like that. Okay, ace. So then we just take this side of it and close it back up. And you can see this was the little structure that I just made to explain the thing. We've got a perfect little double rabbits here on the back of this, forming the tail of that piggy. Ooh, only a little bit of shaping to go. Quite excited. So the last part of the pig, shall I continue?
Yep.
So I'm just going to take the tail here, and with a couple of folds, I'm just going to twist it up. So obviously a pig has a little curly tail. You can do that quite intuitively. One fold like that, and another like that, something like that, to just curl it off. And just, you know, just do those folds wherever you like, really, to give your pig the curly tail that you want on a pig. And all that remains to be done on this, a very common little fold that you'll get in the shaping section of some models, is I'm going to make this whole thing 3D by, I'll just pull out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. To make this whole thing 3D, I'm just going to let it stand and let it open up a little bit. I'm essentially just going to poke it on its back here, so that on both sides of the model, I'm going to put a little mountain fold in. It's like a, oh gosh, it's just like a pinch and a poke. It's not a very easy thing to describe, easier to show you. So that means that I've basically just poked that back of it in, but now it should stand up. Some, you know, he's now standing quite happily. We have some smaller ones here. These were the cutie little piggies that I did before. And they've still held their creases quite nicely just out of printer paper. Can't seem to get them very well aligned. Hold on. So that's our pig. That's our Lithuanian piggy. And I just thought that was a very pretty and character-filled model. How are you feeling here? Do we have pigs?
Yes.
Piggies in the place. Look at that. Oh, excellent. They look really sweet. So one of the reasons I wanted to do that is because I just think it's got a lot of character to it, but it also uses quite a few techniques. And I feel like that would defeat most beginners, but hopefully by this point on the course, you could probably recreate that. And obviously some of you have already done it, so I'm quite pleased with you with your progress there. Yeah. So I'm not sure how are we doing for time.
Well, should we just check in if everyone's happy to run slightly over if we did, if anyone has any problems with that. Obviously that's fine, and we'll try and cater to that. If we ran 10 minutes over, would that be okay? And we can.
Yep.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay. So we'll try and work with that for our sumo restaurant.
No worries. Yeah, so it's the sumo. I wanted to just have a bit of a discussion about the whole crease pattern thing and why people use it as notation. I know that some of you have done this already. I don't know. Did you have a go at this already, Kieran and Lizzie? No. Okay. Cool. So I need to just get this up on screen. This was not a case of having like a bunch of instructions. Let's find a suitable piece of paper over here. Oh, that's going to be good. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go with this pattern sheet. I'll just get rid of my piggies. Let's just minimize there. So I just need to tweak my Zoom meeting here so I can see the the pattern on the camera. What's happening? I'm just getting a bit of lag with my computer here, so just bear with me a second.
Very nice paper choice there, Tony. I like that one.
Thank you. I think it's gonna make for a tastefully attired sumo.
Yes.
Just right, here we go.
Great.
So if you can, I don't know if everyone has access to a screen at the moment where they can have a look at the link that I sent before, but it's basically a link to the website of this Japanese designer called Hideo Komatsu. Some of the things that he does are incredibly complex and very intelligent, very lifelike models. And he's actually one of my favorite designers. But this this particular model was one that he did for a competition in how to design something. There's a style of origami called Pure Land, which just uses the bare minimum of folds to achieve a lifelike or character-filled result, and doesn't even like to use things like reverse folds. It's like a very purist art form, and this was like a competition winner in this Pure Land design contest. And the sumo wrestler here, as you can see on the screen there, you see the photograph, but also we just have this crease pattern. Now, one way you can explore crease patterns if you've got access to a printer is you can just print them out, and then you've got the piece of paper and it's printed with these red lines and blue lines, and it's basically like a puzzle. So the red lines, generally speaking, the red lines on a crease pattern are going to be mountain folds in the finished model, and the blue lines are going to be valley folds. And as I said before, last week, I showed you that if you unfold a piece of origami, the pattern of creases that you're left with, like there's only one logical way that they can get that way. The crease pattern is unique to any model. So it follows from that the crease pattern can then be used as a form of shorthand. Like if I were to just fold something at random and I want to remember how I've done it, I don't have to go back and draw a bunch of diagrams. I just have to know how to solve the crease pattern. And this is part of how these things get designed. I just wanted to cover something about this in a course like this, because this is how advanced folders and designers compare, work on designs. Sometimes they'll just share crease patterns and say, can anyone think of a better way to do this, or whatever. There's like this bit of an international geeky society of crossword crease pattern solvers. I've done it myself. In fact, I'll grab this this little model. Some of you might have seen me show this before. This is something that I've been working on myself, and I sent the crease pattern to somebody recently just to see if they could improve on it. This is my drummer. He's an African drummer. So like, essentially just, it's not finished and shaped. It's just basically still lots and lots of folds. But I want to know if anyone could do a better version of the drum. So this is like how you come up with these things, how you design things is you figure out the crease pattern and then you can send that round to someone. You don't have to spend a lot of time making diagrams. Anyway, so how do you go about solving a crease pattern? The answer is there's a lot of trial and error. And I know that some of you have had a go at this and managed to fold your sumo wrestler, so you'll understand what I'm talking about. But essentially, I'm going to, looking at my crease pattern on the screen there, one way to do this, by the way, would be to print it out or to draw these lines on the model itself. but I can actually see that there are some fairly prominent lines. I'm sorry, I should have printed one out so that I could just have this on camera with me. But I can see on my wrestler, I can see that the entire sheet needs to go in half. So I like to identify the longest creases on the pattern and just fold them. So I'm going to go right ahead and fold this in half like that. And can I just ask, can you see the crease pattern on a screen somewhere? Are you able to look at this at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You can see that the most major fold there is the central crease. And I can see, looking at this, that there's some red sections and some blue sections. And that tells me that this fold is going to fold in on itself at some point. You see what I'm saying? Because, and I can also see that there are diagonal folds right where I would expect a Blintz fold to fold, right? So I can see that there's two red lines up here and some blue lines down there. And I can see from that at some point I'm going to have to fold the corners in. So how I solved this originally, this was the process. I started off with that central fold.
Here's a question.
Hi, yeah.
Are blue folds mounting folds or valley folds?
Sorry, yeah. So the blue folds are going to be the valley folds in the finished model. Now, having said that, I can't tell you if the white or colored side is supposed to be up in that calculation. I should know. I can't quite remember, but it'll soon become apparent. So I'm just going to go ahead and Blintz fold this, meaning that I'm going to have that twisted square inside a square. And then we'll be able to see some more of the reference points. So the first thing to do when working out a crease pattern is to understand what the reference points are and what they mean. And this is how we go about doing that. So now that I've done that, and I've got my central crease here and my Blintz folded bits there, I can also see that there's an angle bisector to fold. Like if I can just see that by folding this in again. Sorry, I'll do it on this side so that it's a bit easier to see. A little bit like a paper aeroplane, by folding this outside edge into the center crease again, keeping those layers together. If I unfold that now, you'll see that looks very similar to this long unbroken blue line on the crease pattern. Right? I'm going to do that on the other side. So you start to do that and you realize that some of these are reversed and some of them aren't. So this blue valley fold is going to remain so, like when the fold is complete. And I can also see that there's a mountain fold that needs to go straight across here. If I put now a fold between these 2 points, the points I'm talking about are where these 2 lines meet. I might turn that over, in fact, to do that, to stick this mountain fold right there so that these lines are together and that fold goes straight across there. And now I can see that most of these points and on the crease pattern are now represented. And what's next? So yeah, I can also see, looking at my crease pattern, there are some at this end, there are some folds along this main corner, an angle bisector there. And I think That's going to run from this corner to this the innermost of those lines, and that's a straight up bisector just as far as that goes. So if I just fold that there like that, I'll do that on the other side, but only as far as that crease goes. I can start to make some sense of the fact that this fold, this corner is a mountain fold. This was the part of the blintz, sorry, the blintz that we did originally. This was a mountain and those are the valleys. I'm just going to fold that inside like that. You see? And now I can see that some of these folds, they begin to, if I just now fold this down and then back up, like pleat that part, opening that out, we can see that we've put this pattern in that's on it's right there on the crease pattern, and you can recognize a pleat because all of these folds will sort of mirror each other and turn inside out on each other. It's kind of, I had a much better sort of spiel in my mind when I decided to teach this, but to be quite honest with you, I'm not 100%, but I hope you're more or less following what I'm doing here. So it's just a process of basically putting these creases into the model. So I'm going to unfold that again, because I can see that our top part is more or less as represented on the model. Maybe just something to do with the tip there that needs to fold back on itself again, but we'll do that in the last stage. Down here, I can see we've got some more angle bisectors in this section. I'm just going to go ahead and fold this edge to meet the blintz crease that we put in there, because I can see that that's a bisector in my model. And because I can see that this line is going to end up being unbroken, but this one changes polarity part way along, that's how I know that one of them comes before the other, right? Sorry. I might try turning this model over and just reversing the things that I've done. So I think he's supposed to be more like this. Sorry, yeah, so I should have really started with my pattern on the outside there. What I'm doing there is just reversing the creases that I've made already, because I want them to be on the other side. If I just fold this guy in half now, by referring back to the picture, I can see this is looking very like the top part of the model. I'm going to open him out, put this down to there, and close it back up again. And I can see that what I've created is just about right, is the head of this thing. All that remains is to figure out the bottom part. And I could tell that that was working around these angle bisectors that I've folded. Just going to open him out again. Oh yeah. So obviously part of this model needs to come inside out so that his shorts have the color. it's going to be something like that. You just see where that actually is. Ah, yeah, there's another bisector here. In the bottom part of the crease pattern, I can see that there is a horizontal fold that is halfway between that one and the one that we did before. So I'm just going to fold that up to make the crease, and then figure out which way around to do that. Oh my gosh. I'm feeling a little, guys, I'm not sure if you're following me very well here. I'm feeling a little foggy, honestly.
Don't worry, Tony.
Done.
We've definitely got a good sense of the sumo wrestler, and it feels like you're very close.
I've kind of forgotten how to pull off the last part, but what I've come up with is a seated sumo wrestler, right? Which isn't exactly what I intended to do, but what I wanted to do was just show some semblance of how crease patterns work and how you go about solving the puzzle. And I know that Marion and Sarah both have managed to solve that without me. So, like, I'm afraid I might have to admit defeat on that, because for some reason my brain no work at this moment. It's possibly something to do with my vaccine, which is working its way through my system at the minute.
And Sarah and Marion, can we have another look at your wonderful sumo wrestlers?
Yeah, that would be really handy.
How good do they look? Oh, fantastic.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, perfect. So you basically, like, you just do a bit of a trial and error process to figure those out if you want to. But once you start working with crease patterns, there are many, many, many more models available in crease pattern form than there are in diagram form, because people share these around on social media and such like. So it's just like an aspect of origami that I want to introduce you to. Sorry that I'm not really at my best. Again, this was the book where I found my cat and my pig. When you have large conventions, oftentimes they'll publish a booklet like this. And here we have on the front this Doberman with the crease pattern inside. It doesn't give you the instructions for the Doberman in the book. We've got, lots of amazing things in the book, but at the back of it, it's just lots and lots of crease patterns to work on. And yeah, some of the more complex things I've ever folded have just been a result of sitting and working with crease patterns, some of which are easier to sort out than others. So yeah, I might just grab the other model that I've got handy that I did from a crease pattern. 1 second.
Okay.
So something that I'll do in the course notes after the next session is I'll link the pattern to this. But some of the really complex things that you can find out there are just available as crease patterns. But this was all of these like sort of folds on her skirt. When you see them laid out as a crease pattern, it's basically just a big concertina, right? And it's just like a bit of a logic puzzle to figure out how things work. there's only one way that they can end up going. And yeah, that's kind of how designers share their stuff around and help each other out. So I think that covers everything I was going to cover today. How's everyone doing out there? I feel like I've been talking for ages.
That's fine.
No,
Hope you
that's great.
feel better for next week.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I will.